I think for me, I'm in agreement with everyone around the issue of fatherlessness being the root cause. And I think at some point we will also need to engage as to why. I mean, for example, when you talk of utatak owaye wahamba wayemine, wanishiya, you know, ulatata wayofuna umsebenzi le. You know, so do you then blame the man for ubamba uyofuna, you know, to feed the family yakhe? For me, I think that's one of the things that I would like us to engage. But also, Apostle Dr. Hawke here spoke about the absence of God. I would like us also to engage that, and in a very, very practical way. Because my wish and my desire is that as we engage these questions, which are very fundamental and pertinent, kumele sicingele la mama onomntana obethwe wa pink and blue by whether a boyfriend or by the husband.
Or even killed.
Or even killed. I mean, I think was it 2017, 2018 when a young man who used to preach as training, you know, nasezibhasini, futhi a junior pastor ebandleni lakhe, killed a beautiful girl pha eGauteng. So I'm saying when we deal with these things, we must be very practical. The answer always lies in God, but how do we practicalize that space? You know, how do we move God from an abstract place, you know, to making God real and practical in our lives? In the issue of the gender based.
I will repeat my statement, but continuing, not repeating as such, by saying we will talk and talk, but we will always say the end is the roots that I was talking about. Udwetu Apa said a very crucial stuff, very crucial one about indaba ye family structure, because everything starts from the family, and I like that the first ministry of God is family. You know, the first preaching of God is family. So when I'm saying this, it's because of we took things of God and we traditionalize them, or sizenza in the ways of kuthiwa isisintu. You understand? He made even an example, a very a powerful example. It was so profound. An example means, I'm not sure you said what I'm gonna say now. That, for example, a circumcision thing. You understand? We took it and claim that it's ours, but it's of God.
Yes.
And we ended up doing it wrong. Things are happening now there. You understand that when it comes to circumcision, because we took something of God and then we science said, because no one knows about circumcision, it's only God. You understand? It is the same. Family. You understand? Anything without God is collapsing. To build a house by yourself, it will labor in vain. You understand? So to build a town of South Africa, so the government will build a town of South Africa, it will labor in vain. it will never stop as long sisakhokelwa as politicians. You understand? Because we are led by people who doesn't know family, who are not there for kids. You understand? Our families are street kids. There is a guy sharing the about street kids. We've got street families. They are street kids families. You understand? Bakhona basendlini siphelele structures lapha. Umama utata ukhona abantwana bakhona. Yabo utata naye uthatha imoto yakhe aphuma hamba yeke yakhe indawo. Umama uthatha yakhe imoto ahambe yeke kumntana. Umntana uthatha yakhe imoto aye indawo. And there is no order. There is no structure. You understand? So the fact, or sorry, the truth remains, not the fact. The truth remains that yonke lento siyithathayo, it's going back to God.
And if we want to go back, I think Uludo has covered a lot of things on the challenges that actually causes men to be actually abusing women. He touched the issue of a family structure, and he also touched the issue of substance abuse, because we cannot put it aside.
No, you can't.
Substance abuse. And I came up with the issue anger. And I want to add on that.
Okay.
Ukuba sikhule thina, especially as a boy child, to resolve your issues you must resolve them with a fist.
Yes.
Sisithelekiswa sisilwa. If uba ubuxabene nomuntu kuze bekanti laa mntu uyamsolva, funeka umsolve ngantoni? Ngenqindi. Sifundiswe loo nto thina how to resolve issues. Funeka sifake inqindi. So hence it's not foreign, as it's in our system. When we are actually find ourselves sigezelwa ngumuntu obhinqileyo, siye silibale uba ubhinqile okanye utheni. Because thina we grew up, we come from a society whereby issues are solved by what? By a fist. You understand? So we come from a society. This is a societal sickness. You understand? Because as children, even kwi-community zethu, ungayanga efamilini, because zonke izinto kuthiwa ingqeqesho iqala phi, yonke iqala ekhaya. So singeka si-address into yasekhaya. So ungena kwi-community ke ngoku, indlela yosolve izinto yintoni? Linqindi. And most of the time, estratweni sikhule thina singamakhwenkwe sithini? Sinqinda, sibetha. Qale uyazi intonga. Intonga eyo zazibethwa nangabantu ongomama, but isikakhulu zaziwa ngantoni? Ngamadoda. Kwenzela uba kuzobonakala uba ngomphi na, unaxa ugezelwa, ubuyisolve into ngantoni? Ngentonga, ubungayisolve ngantoni? Ngokuthetha.
Yes.
So that's another thing endicinga uba i-challenge for men. Zezo zinto ezi zibangela uba kubekho le woman abuse, a man being a perpetrator, especially from a black community. Actually taking in consideration ilanduka i-community apho sisuka khona.
So uthi i-problem inento yokwenza nobani indoda xa ixakene nemeko ifuna uyisolva ngamandla. Don't you think I'm now as usitsho, something is coming to my mind. Ubana even as abazali, when umntwana engenzi lento umzali afuna uba makayenze, uresorta on using i-power anayo, which is ubudala, emntaneni ongazukwazi ukuzilwela. The reason why insitsho, uyabona, if you slap umuntu omdala ngempama, ubethe umuntu omdala ngempama, it's called i-assault. Common assault, depending on gravity injuries. And then emntaneni
It's justified.
is justified. So I'm linking le nto ithethayo to indlela esikhula ngayo ke ngoku. Even these structures. Mhlawumbi uluntu bethethe ngobana sekhona, somebody said sekhona utata. Uyabona? Ufumanisa ngobinga uLuthando. Esithi sekhona utata. Ufumanisa ukuthi utata is not of use kakhulu in ke ngoku molding abantwana, in keeping family yona itself coherent, which affects the community and the country, and the country or society at large. So ndizama ulinka ke ngoku le nto ithethayo to just something evelayo nje.
You just triggered something njengothetha nje. Iyahlekisa ke le nto because you know, so utshatile umbiza umfazi wakho baby, most of the time xa inabantwana ukubiza date, and naxa kwenziwa le nto girlfriend boyfriend, girl boy imbiza umntana baby. So I think that also had an influence, because uyocinga uba umntana wentombazana ngumntanakho, umuntu obhinqileyo ngumntana, because umntana umele umbethe xa emoshile. Uyayiva le nto ithetha. Umntana baby. So uyalungisa. Umntana uyalungiswa ngeSwazi. Ithi iBhayibhile andithi.
I was listening to Dr. Miles Monroe. It was sent by my wife, where he was putting an emphasis of it's good to call your wife a baby. I had to call you daddy. Now I'm hearing something else.
So it's a good, you must interrogate Zito with Balo.
Okay, I think I wanted to say, you know, Pohawk keeps going to the root cause, which is always the best approach to deal with any issue. What is the root cause? In diagnosis, you must be able to diagnose whatever challenge you face very well. I want to talk about a bit about the issue of the culture.
Okay.
You know, people think that it's only us Africans who had the culture before the gospel was brought. And what they forget is that how the gospel was brought to Africans was from a European cultural perspective.
True.
That's true.
So, what we are dealing with as part of the problem is that there was a culture, a foreign culture
That was imposed on
that was
Africans.
imposed on us
In the name of the gospel.
in the name of the gospel.
Amen.
And that culture was foreign to us, not only in terms of just the continent, but even in terms of the makeup, because the culture, the African culture, it's God who gave us the culture. In fact, I want to share this thing. There is a study that has been done where scholars were comparing which culture was the closest to the Old Testament, for example. And the studies showed that the African culture is the closest to the Old Testament. What am I saying? I'm saying part of our problems is that we received the gospel. And we received not just the gospel, but the presenters themselves of the gospel did not appreciate the good elements that we had in our cultures. Instead, because our African culture was foreign to the European culture, so a Eurocentric approach even to the gospel was imposed on us. Let me make practical examples. As Africans, a virgin girl would be naked. I mean, you know, from
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
you know, the upper part to the top, you know, and that nakedness was not shame,
Yes.
but actually it was a pride to say, this one is still pure.
Still pure.
Yes.
This one has not been touched, you know,
Yes.
until that person is taken.
Wow, this is powerful.
And guess what? We had prostitutes before the Europeans came. We had prostitutes. And the prostitutes, because they were not married, but they were sleeping with other men. So automatically, they could not take on the posture of walking,
Naked.
yes,
Half naked.
half naked. So they were covering themselves. So guess what happens?
So they did not take pride in bare breasted.
Of course, because out of those breasts, I mean, are being dealt with by many men. And so they are no longer in the natural. So when the missionaries came, so when the European missionaries came, they could not identify or relate to half-naked girls. And mind you, we do not have issues with rape in spite of that.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, even when we talk about culture and all those things, we need to know what we're referring to. We never had issues with rape. So the missionaries then said, "Hi, cover, cover yourselves. This is not godly." And immediately there was a clash, because women who covered themselves, being unmarried, were prostitutes.
Before.
Sure.
Do you get me?
The stance, yeah.
So here are these missionaries coming with the gospel, but instead of trying to understand what is significant to us and precious, they just took their own Eurocentric approach and imposed. So already there was that friction. So I'm saying to us, when we talk of culture, we must be mindful to understand those dynamics. Because the key thing is, when we are talking about God, we need to accept the fact that God made us different, and He gave us the different cultures for a reason. And we must be, for example, the spirit of Ubuntu, for example. I was listening to, just for me, before I sit down, I keep quiet and allow other people. There's this guy, Dr. Schluter. Dr. Schluter was talking about a second Reformation. The first Reformation was that of Martin Luther. When Martin Luther took away the power that was bestowed only on the Pope to read the Bible. And only 500 years ago, only the Pope could read the Bible and tell people what was in the Bible and what God expects of them. So Martin Luther broke that 500 years ago. That was in
Pope
70.
being a white person.
Yes, that's not even the issue for me now. So Ushnuta says the second Reformation, in his view, is going to be the relational economy. The relational economy is talking about the concept of appreciating. Before you take a decision, you ask yourself, how will my decision affect Uludwe, Ultando, Upilani, Nohok? Before you take that decision, because from a Eurocentric perspective, Europeans ask themselves, what is best for me? And take that decision without taking into account. And yet, an African perspective is where we have always been relational. You do not just take a decision that based on what is going to benefit you, but you also take into account how will the decision influence and affect the people around me. So as I was listening to Dr. Shluta saying he thinks the second Reformation is going to be a relational Reformation, I laughed at him and I said, well, Dr. Shluta, we have had that for centuries. It's just that when Europeans came to Africa, they came and imposed on us what they thought was appropriate, because that is what they were exposed to. So I'm saying, in other words, have something to give to the world. That relational approach, we can present it to them. And also, I think before we bash our own cultures, we must be mindful as to what was of God in our own cultures and what was not of God in our own cultures.
Powerful stuff, my boy. Powerful stuff. I like that we see Vulile. It's not, but at the end we must reach the solution. What exactly what is happening when what happened. There was something of substance abuse that was mentioned here, and be mentioning ngudwedwe, and then umthikana waza nento apho into yobana uyakwazi nithi nikhona niyi-family and the father ukuthi ingabonakali within the family.
Abe absent while
Abe absent wayekhona, yeah. But there are families ezi-right mhlawumbi zinabazali abapheleleyo, you understand? Then kids will go out and do some stuff, you understand? Bene-family epheleleyo. So iphinde ithi go back ke ngoku laa nto yobana because of the owner of the family is not there, that is God. That's why uthi ekhona kumnandi kule family, everything is there, iyafumaneka, iyenzeka. But baphuma abantwana kunjalo. We've got people abanjalo abakhule kamnandi ezifamily eMtanzania, phakathi komama kotata ku-rich emakwabo izindlu and all the stuff, you understand, zonke ezazo, but ba-ended kwenye indawo. Now ndiya endaweni into yobana apha abantwana in fact uphuma komntu seligqiba indaba yefamily into yobana it's because of we need again to go back to our roots. You cannot lead a family without the leader of the owner of the family, you understand? The owner of the family is God. Now the substance abuse, because zonke izinto these are the things that push ukuthi kuze kubekho this violence, this abuse that is happening today, you understand? Because abanye bahigh, you understand, who are doing these things, you understand? It's you can see it's abnormal, and the use of the substance, the reason umuntu kala nale kufuneka kulanda ukuthi why esebenzisa drugs, you understand? Why? Mandithethe ngohlobo, it's a drug, it's a prostitution, it's an alcohol. Those three things. there are reasons ezenza abantu benza such things. The reason is there is a spiritual void. There is a spiritual void. Bakuthatha umntana kuthiwa usuka ku-rehab apha. You understand? Into okudilishwana nayo i-surface. You understand? Then adrainwa whatever loo nto yenziwayo. But ayikulandwa exactly the root. You understand? Because in root, that person, when the is because there is an emptiness in that person. There is something void needs to be closed. And unfortunate, there is nothing else can close that gap. You understand? We need those roots. Those roots to realize who you are. Where are you coming from? Why are you living? You understand? So those are the things. Who you are is because it tells you are the spirit. You need to live your life by the spirit. That's it.
I want to just to respond to that. We had the experience here of abantu abakhonza kwaBhengu. I mean, allow me to use, because uBhengu for us was one
Standard.
of the first churches,
charismatic church.
you know, to speak of his salvation.
Assemblies of God.
Assemblies of
Yeah,
God.
Pentecostal churches.
Yeah.
One thing that I can tell you, my experience with abantu bakwaBhengu, if we take uMenziwa for example, Power 12, just next door, the parents loved God, taking abantwana to church and all that. So I'm saying they were the mother and the father taking their children to church, but none of their children, none of them. In fact,
There are many dynamics.
it's what you can easily call a project went bad. You know, I have many other reference points.
Because there's a friend that I know in a similar situation. But as I'm saying,
Okay, and maybe let me finish my point so, and there are many others. If we can cut out the surname, that would be good. But is scripture said, Psalm 97, verse 2b, righteousness and justice are the foundation of God's throne. You need to have what? Righteousness, which is your moral standing, your right standing before God. You need to have that. But that is not enough. You also need justice. Justice is a man-to-man relationship.
All right. I just want us to 1 minute each as we wrap up from where we are.
I don't want us to wrap up.
I can't.
Ibhetri yethu yaphela.
Why Tata must ulanduke?
I'll suggest Teta what you wanted to say.
Okay. For me, I think there are many
Because
dynamics.
I was not even done now, but yeah, it's fine.
Okay, if we have indlela of
Let's charge.
boosting.
Check about those.
So maybe let me quickly. So I wanted to say, the biggest issue which I think is a flaw in the body is that we take, for example, the approach, apostle doctor, of putting God, which is a critical one. But I think the biggest flaw in that approach is not to deal with the justice side of things. And yet, I want to quote again two scriptures. The Psalm 97, 2b, righteousness and justice are the foundation of God's throne. Meaning that You will never be able to have the throne of God sit in a place if you only have one of the two. You need to have those two, this solid, and the throne of God will be able to sit there, and you'll see God governing in that place. And then the other part of the scripture, when Lord Jesus, of the 10 commandments, which one is the most important? And his response was, love the Lord your God and love yourself as you love thy neighbor. Again, and then he says, on these two hinges everything. So where the church has missed it is that they've focused on a righteousness, that people must be in right standing with God, and never wanted to dare to deal with the human relations. And yet in God wants us to have both of those. So you can be very strong, for example, in loving your neighbor as you love yourself, but if you do not love God, still you are not going to have a balance. Or you can focus on this one, which the church has been very guilty. I mean, I'm saying this thing because I've been telling wherever I've gone, wherever I've preached, I'm telling people that church, rise up. God expects us to have a balance. We need to have a strong righteousness and equally strong justice amongst us. So for me, part of the problems is not having that balance.
Too many issues when dealing with and I think this is very critical. Now I just want to recap a bit. We spoke about the topic here. It was based on gender-based violence. Yeah. So, and we came up with this lazy tool, which was spiritually and
natural and physical.
Yeah, presence of family and how it's structured and stuff like that. I think those were the two. Yeah, well, for me, if I wanna go back a bit, all this has happened, and this is what we have. It's like it's the status quo. It's now. If you look at, because our topic mainly is on violence, ne? I think the question is, how do we deal with the violence? Ne? Sikhule as topic wechilo, we solve the issues tina ngefists zethu. Ne? So, and Nyansi, because now Lokshin, I think my first fight, I think that would be, the Kubla Lam, the Fundu 3, I had both my eyes now born, Kagezi, So, I don't think Leah, yes, yes, but in the end, it's what's missing from a car. Yeah. So, since most of us are fatherless, we tend to learn from outside. As easy. So, for me, it goes back to la endlini kunjani na. So it's so unfortunate that if we see a parent who calls someone, most especially on the and from my experiences, I don't care what you say, what you do. Umnana will always have that void. I would say, I don't know from a female's perspective, but you'll always have that thing. And you will always yearn for it. And if we are kumbula, you find that you know, each of is basic, as you know that. You'll always hear them say, yo, tata, ever? And when are you like, okay. Yebo? That on its own, yeah, better. So, if you can have that structure, mother and father, and when you show them the way, mama, in spite of all these issues that you may have, but ensure ukuthi abantwana bakho abakhuliswa ngumuntu, bakhuliswa nguwe. Noba unemali, noba awunamali. Make sure abantwana bakho bakhuliswa nguwe. You know, that's why it's, you know, there are many dynamics, because I think people who's in now, you know, Tina, it's so unfortunate that if we are panging pa, and if you notice, if umlungu yena unyanzelekile uphangela pha wayebathatha so aze bashiyeke ngemva
motivated whole
as Tina sisenza, but it's due to circumstances, yabo, not so long we can really do that. If Bona put them in our position, I'm sure they would not have done the same thing. They would not have done the same thing. As in, like, they would have. They
would not separate.
Yeah, no. They would separate, given circumstances that Tina we find ourselves in. So Zamutin, it is. It's circumstances that drive you to do such things. It's the circumstances you find yourself in. Because if you look at indlela esiphila ngayo, you know, there's no way that you cannot talk about economy or transformation economy. You know, and that's why I said there are too many dynamics, ne? Because if when as a father awukwazi, you know, ubeka, you know what you have to etafileni, there will be that complexity that you'll find yourself in. And sometimes, you know, it may end up, you know, making you too easy, you know that way now, you know, you never thought of. But so with that being said, there are many dynamics, ne? What we need to, for me, ne, is take care of a few things in moving forward, ne? Let's look at the structure set. Mistake here, okay? Tina, you know, I'm from with nobody generational case now. But you'll find that and it never stops. Yabo, abantu bakuthi. Ba end up bedamba umntana, you know.
It's a big problem. It's a big problem.
So how do you solve it? Because you chatile, you pin the steel, umntana outside. It happens.
Yeah, it happens.
You know. Ukuchatileyo but banomntana outside.
Yes.
Yabo. Ila thinking yoba you know, or maybe it's not even the thinking. It's something that you're going through when, you know, and you feel that love void was ayivala by having loni lo mntu for lo mzuzu. Uyabo?
Okay.
So that's why in the city there are many dynamics.
Yes.
Because if endlini anikho right, there is no form of resources. They're about to keep you inside. You will go outside.
Indulge me on this Lord and Klambi, you know, all of us. You guys are talking about the structure, the family structure, which is a foundation. I do want us to take it to the victims and how we relate with the victims. Come and zoom to layout. Why do I say that? It's easy to say you'll never bash, you'll never kill somebody that you love. how does it get to a point that somebody that you have, confessed love to, ubana ude umbulali?
To me, this is the root cause. Kum.
Are you saying we are unable to love, or even or uti ekuthandeni kwethu? The issue of love, is not in questionable here. Love is there, but now I'm relating to this person because I just want to understand, ubana, okay, all that mess. Now there are issues of the heart and commitment. But how does it get to a point where you kill, you slap, to a point of killing somebody that you love?
Mna ndithi root cause yilena. If, let's say, or hypothetically, you have two parents, you are given love from the word go.
You being given love, or
you.
born loving themselves,
No,
loving each other.
No, wena mntu ngoku sowuzawubulala. If you were given love, if you were given attention, if you were given the right whatever that you need for ukhula, it would not have, there's no way that ungajika, because mna I believe loba thina njema singabantu through our experiences.
Okay.
It is the experiences that build you wena. Then uthi ungumntu ufumana uba uyabona mna le into soze ndiyenze. But as much as intoba usithi yabona mna le soze ndiyenze there are ezikhoyo ezinye ezenzwe yila incident eyenzekayo ngemini ethile. Njengoba wena sosithi le awusozuyenze. Uyabo? So mna my belief is that njengoba ulolu hlobo lilo njengoku, it's through experiences.
Yeah.
Uyabo? Njengoba sowufikelela ubetha nje komnye okubethileyo, soze uphakamisa uthande ungabethwanga, uphakamisa isandla emntwini.
That's
Uyabo?
So
because even right now ungumntu uyilento uyaziyo. Uyabo? Lento ibonayo endlini yilento uzawufilisha uba i-right okanye ayikho right.
So this is
Yeah,
not learned behavior. That is inherently in you.
It's learned behavior and it's circumstance behavior, if maybe lo hlobo.
Okay.
Uyabo? But if wena ukhule kakuhle wayifumana ezininzi zakho, you play sport if uthanda sport, uyabo? Because hindrances around that, uyabo? You'll be a fine citizen. That is my belief.
I think